This segment will be part A of the build-up to World War II. Please don't forget to go to your Edmodo accounts to look for assignments, to use my webpage for any notes that you may need, and to also use the YouTube channel for different videos. First thing we're going to talk about is to define fascism. Fascism is a militant political involvement that emphasized the loyalty to the state and obedience to its leader. And most often, its leader was a dictator who denied the rights of its citizens. They were ultimately looking for a totalitarian rule where they control most aspects of life. Usually, the people in that nation were all under this dictator. And Fascism is built on an extreme form of nationalism, where everyone is supporting the nation, the country. The two best examples of this are Italy and Germany at this time period. So let's look at Italy. Italy at the time period in the 1930s was losing support in its government, and there were a lot of political parties that were fighting for power. And one of those political parties was the Fascist Party, and it was led by Benito Mussolini. Benito Mussolini was a newspaper editor and a politician, and he had gone on a campaign to revive the economy of Italy and also revive the respect that Italian citizens thought that they were losing in Europe. So he came in there to revive the economy and strengthen the military and strengthen the respect of Italy and its people. And he is going to gain a lot of support. The Fascist Party will be led by him. They'll march to Rome, and there they'll take over the government, and Mussolini will gain power. When he's in power, he will rule very authoritative, and he will be a dictator. He abolished democracy. He jailed anyone that opposed him, and he censored the media to only those thoughts that he wanted to get across. And then ultimately, he controlled the economy, and there were very few people that tried to challenge him. Now, because Mussolini had gone in there and done those things, there's going to be another person in Germany that looks at him and see how successful he is in Italy and use those ideas for Germany. And that man is Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler is a former German soldier. He was decorated twice with the Iron Cross, which is a medal for valor for the German army. And after the war, he became politically involved in different political parties and looking at using his resentment of the Treaty of Versailles and how he felt that Germany had been treated after the Treaty of Versailles. So he starts looking at different political parties, and he comes across the Nationalist Socialist Germans Workers' Party, and this can be abbreviated in the German language to read Nazi. So this becomes known as the Nazi Party. And the Nazi Party was a form of fascism, and that became known in German as Nazism. So that's the German form of fascism. So that they're looking at the same aspects that Mussolini was having. In fact, Hitler looks at what Mussolini did to gain power by marching to Rome and overthrowing the government, that Hitler and the Nazi Party wants to do the same. So they try to overthrow the government, but they ultimately fail. And Hitler is jailed because of this. And when he's in jail for about 6 months. He writes a book that's part biography and part rants and political ideology of what he had. So it's really about who he is. And that book is called Mein Kampf. And Mein Kampf translated means my struggle. And he was using this to ignite passion for the Nazi Party and for Germany as a country, but also to really explain about who he was and really gain power as a leader. Now, the American economy collapsed. And when it collapsed, the Dawes Plan kind of stopped. And so America stops loaning to the German government. And when that happens, the German economy will suffer, not only because America stops investing, but also because other nations stopped investing as well for their own reasons and because America had stopped investing. And so as the German economy suffers, the Nazi Party gains power. And people of Germany are looking for a strong leader that would get rid of the Weimar Republic, replace that, and also bring strength back to Germany and bring back independent thinking and ability to German people, so they wouldn't have to rely on America. They wouldn't have to rely on these other nations. And who they turned to? They turned to Hitler. Hitler was a very secure and strong leader. He was a fantastic public speaker. He used certain tools to his advantage, like propaganda. Probably the best propaganda ever used in the history of the world was done by Hitler and the Nazi Party. And so he was able to get most all of the German people behind him. Most oftentimes, they were behind him because they wanted to, but sometimes they were kind of forced to. When he becomes the leader of the Nazi party, or what they call the Fuhrer, Hitler will then work his way politically to become the Chancellor of Germany, which is kind of second in line as the top leader of Germany. And there he will work to gain ultimate power. And how he does this is he calls for a vote by the representatives to make him basically the head of the German state. And about a week before the vote goes on, the Reichstag building burns to the ground. And people are wondering, who did this? Who did this? Well, historians will tell you it was the Nazi Party that did it. But the Nazis back then told everyone it was the Communist Party. And out of fear of communism, that they should vote for a strong leader to lead them in the future. And that strong leader was Adolf Hitler. And when Hitler becomes chancellor, he creates this completely totalitarian state where he controls many aspects of life. He's going to kill his enemies. He's going to put fear in his citizens. He's going to create his own police force called the SS that wore black uniforms almost 24/7. And they took people along with the Gestapo and imprisoned them and indoctrinated them with new ideas. Indoctrination is the idea that you are forced by a government to believe and act in certain ways. A great example of indoctrination is the Hitler Youth. The Hitler Youth was kind of like a group for young boys that were trained and to follow Hitler, to love the fatherland, and to fight to the death of that. So he used that. He used propaganda. He used film. He used he used film. He used radios. He used posters. They would create parades. Photography was done in certain ways. Speeches, all kinds of things were done to make Germany look like a perfect society and to make Hitler look like he was the leader leading them in the right direction. But he also was able to do some social programs that placed millions of people to work for the state. He created a highway system we know today as the Autobahn. He was able to go out and start building automobiles en masse, and he called them the people's car, or the Volkswagen. He built up an air force that was admired by even Charles Lindbergh. So there were a lot of things that he was doing for the people, and he was admired for his people. He was respected by many of his people, but he also controlled a lot of those people, and because of that, he was a strong leader in what was going on. That will end Part A of the build-up of World War II. The next segment will be Part B, and we'll continue talking about Hitler and the build-up to World War II. Please remember to use your Edmodo accounts for assignments, and also to use YouTube and my website for anything you need.